Every time someone mentions Forest Road 34, I feel a knot in my stomach. I wasn't looking for anything strange. I was there because my car started acting up, and that road was the only shortcut to get back before it got completely dark. It was around 6 in the evening, maybe a little later. The sky was gray, and the forest looked dull, washed out, almost flat. On a sharp bend, the engine made a dry noise and shut off. I pulled over as best I could and tried to start it again, but nothing happened. Total silence. I sat there for a few seconds, listening, waiting for I don't know what. That's when I heard something outside. They weren't clear footsteps, more like a slow dragging sound on the gravel, as if something heavy was moving without lifting its feet. I opened the door just a little, enough to peek out. At first, I didn't see anything, but I felt that awful sensation of not being alone. The air felt different, heavier, and the silence was uncomfortable. Then I saw it cross the road a few meters ahead. It wasn't fast, it wasn't clumsy either. It walked with a strange confidence, like it wasn't afraid. The fur was what stood out the most. It was dirty, tangled, with long clumps that barely moved with each step. In some places it looked lighter, almost gray, like the hair was worn or old. It didn't look like a suit or anything uniform. It was messy, real. The face was what made my legs feel weak. I wouldn't know how to describe it well. It had strong features, an expression that wasn't animal and felt closer to human. Its mouth was slightly open, and I could see its teeth, not in a threatening way, more like it was breathing heavily. The eyes, that's hard. They were dark, deep, and didn't look surprised to see me. They looked at me for just a second, but that was enough. It made a low sound, something like a short grunt, not loud. Then another one different, as if it were answering something I couldn't hear. I got the impression it wasn't alone, even though I didn't see anyone else. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I closed the car door slowly, with a level of care I'd never had before. I stayed inside, crouched down, barely breathing. I heard it move again, this time farther away, leaving the road. I don't know how much time passed. Maybe minutes, maybe less. When I finally dared to look again, it was gone. The forest sounded normal again, as if someone had flipped an invisible switch. After a while, the car started like nothing had happened. I didn't check anything, I didn't look back. I drove straight out of Forest Road 34. Sometimes I think it only noticed me in passing, the way you look at an animal by the side of the road. Other times, I think it let me go because it wanted to. I still don't know which idea unsettles me more. I've been driving Forest Road 34 for years. It's one of those secondary routes almost no one uses, except those of us who live in nearby towns or work night shifts. There's nothing special about it during the day. Long curves, broken asphalt, gravel sections, and dense forest on both sides. But when the sun goes down, the place changes. Sound seems to fade, and the darkness feels thicker than on other roads. That night in October, I was heading back late, close to midnight. It had rained earlier, and a low fog was creeping through the trees. I slowed down because visibility was poor and because deer often cross without warning in that area. A few kilometers past the old wooden bridge, I noticed something strange. The smell inside the truck suddenly changed. It wasn't the usual damp forest smell. It was heavier, almost sticky. It reminded me of wet clothes left sitting for days, mixed with a strong animal odor, like a closed-up stable. I checked the dashboard, thinking something might be wrong with the vehicle, but everything looked normal. The smell was coming from outside. A few seconds later, coming out of a curve, I saw it by the side of the road. It wasn't crossing, it wasn't crouching or running away. It was standing there, among the ferns, less than 5 meters from the edge of the pavement. The headlights lit it up fully for an instant. It was enormous, much taller than any person I've ever seen. Its body was wide, disproportionate, with massive shoulders and long arms hanging loosely at its sides. The fur was dark, uneven, looking soaked by the moisture. What disturbed me most wasn't the size, but the calm. It didn't react with surprise. It didn't step back. It slowly turned its head to follow the movement of the truck, as if it already knew I was going to pass by. Its eyes reflected the light for a second, not like an animal's, but in a dull, deep way. I didn't brake. I didn't speed up either. My hands were stiff on the steering wheel. I passed by in silence, my heart pounding in my chest. In the rearview mirror, I didn't see it move. It was simply left behind, motionless, swallowed by the fog. For several minutes afterward, the smell stayed inside the vehicle, trapped as if it had soaked into the upholstery. I cracked the window open despite the cold, but it took a while to fade. The whole way until I reached the main road, I felt a strange pressure in my chest, the sensation of having crossed a boundary that wasn't meant for me. I never reported what happened. I didn't take photos. I had no proof. But since that night, I stopped using Forest Road 34 after dark, not because I think something will chase me, but because I understood something very clearly. That road cuts through a place that doesn't belong to us, and whatever I saw there didn't need to hide because it knew it was exactly where it was meant to be. I work doing maintenance on rural power lines, and Forest Road 34 has been part of my assigned area for years. It's not a place I like, but it's part of the route. Old poles, cables knocked down by storms, and stretches where the forest seems to be swallowing the road. I usually go during the day, but that time I had to check a fault at dawn, when it was still dark. I parked the truck near the kilometer marker with a crooked yellow post. As soon as I got out, the silence caught my attention. It wasn't the normal early morning quiet, but something emptier, like the forest was holding its breath. No birds, no insects, just the faint creaking of trees moving very slowly. While I was getting my equipment ready, I noticed the smell. It didn't hit all at once. It was more like a layer slowly building in the air. It smelled like wet earth, but old, stagnant, mixed with an acidic edge that burned my nose. It made me think of animals kept closed in for too long. Instinctively, I looked around, expecting to find a carcass or a nearby den, but I saw nothing. I climbed the pole carefully. From up there, Forest Road 34 looked like a dark scar cutting through the woods. While I was checking the cables, I heard something that didn't fit. Footsteps. Not on gravel or asphalt, but on damp soil, heavy and slow, moving parallel to the road. I thought it might be a moose, but the rhythm was different. Too regular. I climbed down faster than I normally would and grabbed the flashlight. I shone it toward the edge of the forest. At first, I saw nothing, just shadows. Then something moved behind the trees. It didn't step onto the road. It stayed within the vegetation, keeping pace with where I stood. What I saw wasn't a full figure, just pieces. A long arm sliding between the trunks, and a head that appeared just enough to confirm it was watching me. There was no aggression in its posture, only curiosity mixed with a cold, constant vigilance. The smell grew stronger. It filled my mouth like I could actually taste it. It made me nauseous and gave me a strange pressure in my head. That's when I understood something. It didn't want me there, but it wasn't in any hurry to make me leave. I packed up my equipment without making noise. I walked back to the truck, trying to stay calm. The footsteps followed me until I shut the door. When I started the engine, the sensation vanished instantly. I reported the issue as partially resolved and asked for another crew to finish the job. I never explained the real reason. Since then, every time I pass along Forest Road 34, I do it quickly and without stopping. Forest Road 34 shows up on maps as just another road, but when you walk it on foot, it feels different. I was there after a heavy storm, checking fallen trees and the condition of the ground. I wasn't in a hurry. It was one of those afternoons when the light comes in strangely through the trees, illuminating only pieces of the road and leaving everything else in shadow. I don't remember the exact moment when I realized something wasn't right. I think it was when I heard a sound I couldn't identify. It wasn't a scream or anything loud. Forest Road 34 shows up on maps as just another road, but when you walk it on foot, it feels different. I was there after a heavy storm, checking fallen trees and the condition of the ground. I wasn't in a hurry. It was one of those afternoons when the light comes in strangely through the trees, illuminating only pieces of the road and leaving everything else in shadow. I don't remember the exact moment when I realized something wasn't right. I think it was when I heard a sound I couldn't identify. It wasn't a scream or anything loud. It was more like a deep, low sound that I felt in my chest more than in my ears. It lasted only a second or two and then cut off suddenly. I stood still, trying to understand what it had been, but nothing logical came to mind. I kept walking a bit farther, and then I saw movement off to the side of the road. It didn't step out in front of me, it moved between the trees, sideways, as if it wasn't in any rush. The first thing that caught my attention was the fur. It wasn't even. In some places it looked long and tangled, in others shorter, like it had been flattened by the rain. The color changed with the light, sometimes dark, almost black, and sometimes lighter, leaning toward brown. When I finally saw the face, I felt something strange in my body. I can't really explain it. It wasn't the face of a common animal. It had strong features, a large forehead, and areas where the hair was shorter and the skin showed through. The eyes were sunken and dark, without that shine animals get when light hits them. They didn't blink, or at least I didn't notice it. It didn't look at me right away. It seemed more focused on the sounds of the forest than on me. It moved its head slowly, tilting it slightly, as if it were listening to things I couldn't hear. When it finally looked at me, it did so suddenly, but without violence. It held my gaze for several seconds. I don't know how long it really was. It felt endless. It made another sound. This time it was shorter, like a low snort mixed with something I can't describe. It didn't sound aggressive. It didn't sound friendly either. It sounded controlled. It moved with a kind of ease that's hard to explain. It didn't make noise when it stepped. It avoided branches without looking at them, like it knew the place by heart. It didn't walk awkwardly or clumsily. It just walked. At one point, it was partially hidden by a leaning tree. I could only see part of its face between the hair and the trunk. Then it took a step back, and another, and disappeared into the trees. I stood there for a long time without moving. Slowly, the forest started to sound normal again, as if nothing had happened. Sometimes I think that first sound wasn't meant for me, but for something else deeper in the woods, waiting for a response.